Welcome to this Pesach presentation. I am your host, Benjamin Stewart Thompson. What is Pesach? The Passover story. Pesach retells the story of the night some 3,300 years ago, when a miraculous transformation took place.
As they emerged from the crucible of Mitzrayim, the sons and the daughters of Yaakov became the nation of Israel.
And in turn, through the Pesach story, that we live anew, we share it with the next generation. Pesach ties us from the past to the present to the future.
Pesach Special, brought to you by Whole Foods Market, Got Kosher, Strauss Family Creamery, and I Buy Direct. With Chazzan Netanel Baram, with music by Gustavo, Bulgach, and klezmer juice.
Now it's interesting to understand that Pesach is a type of live performance event. The Passover table is set up like a stage. The family home ideally is like a theater. And just as in the theater, we work tirelessly as a group with enthusiasm in anticipation of opening night, so too do we work hard to clean our home of all leavening, and we rid ourselves of all chometz to prepare for the arrival of the Pesach Seder. Now backstage in the theater, we create a prop table. We have a place on the prop table for every prop, so that at a glance we can see that everything's ready for the show. In the Seder, we use a Seder plate, and we make a place for each of the elements that are going to play a part in our story. What are the elements in our story? First, the 3 matzot. They represent the double portion of bread that we always have on the holiday, plus an additional portion of the matzah, reminding us of the mitzvah to eat the matzah. Next, the roasted shank bone. We call it the zorah. This reminds us of the outstretched arm with which we were taken out of Mitzrayim. And it also is a roasted bone that represents the lamb, which was the special paschal sacrifice on the eve of our exodus from Mitzrayim. Next on the plate is the betzah. It can represent spring, but it also represents the holiday offering brought in the days of the Holy Temple. Next is the maror, the bitter herb. This reminds us of the bitterness of slavery that our forefathers suffered in Mitzrayim. Typically, this is grated horseradish or a large horseradish root by itself. Next is the charoset, a mixture of apples and nuts and wine and dates, which resembles the mortar that we used to make the buildings for Pharaoh. Some say we think of it as being made from the ingredients of the Song of Songs, a love song written by King Solomon about the marriage between the Jews and the Rabbono Shel Olam. Next comes karpas, typically parsley. And this represents, again, a spring, a renewal, but this is sometimes parsley dipped in salt water. It can also be lettuce. It can also be celery. And then there is the salt water itself, representing the tears of slavery. Now, what is the order of the Pesach Seder? Here are the 15 steps codified by a sage of the Rashi school named Rabbi Shmuel Falaise of the 12th century France. First, we have Kadesh, that's the blessing over the wine. Then we have Urchatz, that's washing our hands before eating the vegetable that we dip into the salt water. Next, we have the Karpas, that's eating the vegetable that we've dipped in the salt water. And we dip it twice, eliciting questions and discussion. Then we have Yachatz, breaking the middle matzah. Next we have Magid, sharing the narrative of the Exodus as set in motion by the 4 questions, asked by the youngest person who's able to sing them.
מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות הנוכלים חמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה. הלילה זה כולו מצה, הלילה זה כולו מצה, שבכל הלילות הנוכלים שער ירקות, שער ירקות. הלילה זה מערור, הלילה זה מערור, שבכל הלילות אנו מטבילים אפילו פעם אחת, אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה זה שתי פעמים, הלילה זה שתי פעמים, שבכל הלילות הנוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסובים, בין יושבים ובין מסובים. הלילה זה כולנו מסובים, הלילה זה כולנו מסובים.
Plagues, there were 10 of them.
דם, צפרדע, קינים, ערוב, דבר, שכין, ברד, הרבה, חושך, מכת בכורות.
The Passover story is a DNA strand that connects us to generations past who gave the last full measure of devotion so that we might benefit from the sterling gifts they inherited. And in turn, through the Pesach story, that we live anew, we share it with the next generation. Most important is that the Pesach story is an invitation to each of us and to our families to ask questions about ourselves. Questions that, when asked with a meaningful point d'interrogation, enable us to also personally transform up and out of whatever personal slavery we live with in our own lives. We must therefore personalize Pesach. With the matzah we have the maror, where we eat the bitter herbs to remind us of the bitterness of slavery. Korech is the sandwich that we make of matzah and maror together. Shulchan Orech is the prepared table where we eat the meal that we've prepared and discuss everything that we have read so far in the Haggadah. Next we have tzafon. This is the hidden matzah, also known as the afikoman. And this is the last food to be eaten. It's a special dessert that engages the young people in an activity. Next we have barech. This is the grace after meal, filled with songs and joy. We have the concluding songs of praise called Hallel, the only Hallel we sing all year in the evening. The final prayer is that our observance of Pesach will be accepted as a proper observance. This is called nirtzah. We hope that our proper observance of the Seder will speed future redemption, ideally in the coming year, ideally in Yerushalayim.
Shana